Hi, we all know the COVID-19 pandemic has stagnated economies world over and has also suffocated companies to work with suboptimal levels and to avoid retrenching employees and come out with innovative solutions with regards to work flexibility so that the high levels of productivity can be maintained. And this is become more important than ever before. It has since been a year that WHO has officially declared it as a pandemic, and companies have realized that the road to recovery is way along ahead. And companies have already taken initiatives to go ahead and try out with an example of 4-day work week so as to protect the employees and the employers. Various studies have shown that when you reduce the working hours, the productivity has increased and there has been an effect towards that. Not only that there is an improvement in productivity and work-life balance on employees, it also helps in avoiding mass layoffs. It also helps employers in reducing the establishment cost and safety of employees. Let us discuss more about this 4-day week model in this video. A 4-day work week model is not a compressed schedule where employees have to work the same amount of 35 hours or 40 hours a week. Instead, it states that the employees have to work fewer hours and also less amount of days. In fact, eventually they will be working for 28 hours with 3 days a weekend. In its most evolved form, the employees will be paid full amount of their salaries for working 4 days a week. Various studies in fact have shown that there is a tremendous improvement in employee satisfaction when it is being done. In fact, various leaders and also top executives, including the Google founder Larry Page, has supported this model. In fact, this model is not revolutionary or radical, but the hours have gradually been reduced within a typical work week since the late 19th century. A full-time employee within a manufacturing plant worked an average of 100 hours a week, as estimated by the United States government in 1890. By the mid-20th century, manufacturing employees only worked 40 hours a week. So reducing our current work week to 28 hours or so is not nearly as radical. Now, employers often bog down their staff by sending unnecessary emails and also calling them for meetings, which if you see on an average per day, it goes to around 1 hour a day. Not only that, employees also have their own way of draining their time. The two important time stealers are checking the social media accounts and reading news online. According to vouchercloud.com, a British discount website, when they did a study in 2017, they found out that nearly 2.5 hours is lost per day towards this. So eventually, what is left out is another 2.5 hours of day of actual productive work. Considering that these two time-stealing activities were not available during those days when the 40-hour work week was started nearly 100 years ago, it's easy to see why some companies may abandon the practice. In 1924, automotive tycoon Henry Ford adopted a 40-hour work week because he thought his employees would buy more cars if they had more leisure time. In fact, in those days, many worked 50 hours a week or more previously. Other employers followed suit, and the 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday schedule was born. So much has changed in the last 96 years since then, and as of now, business experts feel that it is time to rethink on this aspect. Mainly for those employees who are working on knowledge-based economy, professionals such as architects, software developers, engineers, and physicians, they do more of a thinking job, and it is very difficult to think and work for 8 hours, to have concentration for 8 hours a day. In spite of all this, still it is very difficult for companies to change because it has become so ingrained as part in the culture. After World War II, economy blossomed. Purchasing power became the status symbol of men, and they began to be identified with their work. Work became the center of male identity. In fact, we went from working to live to living to work. After women also started joining the workforce and started going for jobs, they also started spending long hours in the companies and offices, thereby proving that they were also equally ambitious and capable as men. Andrew Barnes is the author of the 4-Day Week, where he makes the case that businesses can shorten the traditional 5-day working week while maintaining peak productivity and employees' existing rates of pay. The result, according to Andrew, is a future in which we work less but are both more productive and satisfied. Now, the idea of a 4-day week model is not novel. In fact, this first sprung up during the times of the Great Depression in 1930s, a period of economic turmoil that shares many characteristics with what we are witnessing today. During those times, the model was touted as a means to save thousands of jobs by slashing working hours during the week. Since the 20th century, scholars have predicted a gradual decline in total work hours as productivity increased. Economist John Keynes in 1928 said that the work week could be reduced to a mere 15 hours within a century. During the 1920s and 30s, industrialists like Henry Ford began drastically reducing work hours at a time when employees on an average worked around 10 to 16 hours a day. Years later, in the midst of the financial crisis in 2008, Germany came up with a scheme of reduced work hours and introduced Kurzarbeit so that employees' jobs can be saved and there cannot be any mass layoffs. Under this scheme, what was done was that any employee who is not working for a particular day will be paid only 60% of their wages, and for the days they worked, they were paid full amount of their salary. Very recently, Microsoft also introduced the same 4-day week model in their office in Japan, and they found out that employees were not only productive, but also all the employees were satisfied. They discovered that productivity skyrocketed by 40% as employees benefited from improved work-life balance. The company's 2,300-person workforce was given 5 Fridays off in a row without cutting pay. Apart from increased productivity, Microsoft said that employees took 25% less time off and electricity use also went down by 23%. At least 92% of the total workforce said they enjoyed the shorter work week. The 4-day work week model is gaining ground because employers are finding it difficult to stagger attendance and to maintain social distancing in the office. Not only that, the unemployment is spiking and more people are losing their jobs. By doing so, the work can be distributed and more people can be kept in jobs. It also reduces the burden of employers' cost, thereby reducing electricity, water, rentals, and other utility costs. Now, quite recently, it is also gaining popularity because the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, has made an argument that this model could provide a solution to the nation's ailing leisure and travel industry, a thought shared by Henry Ford in the 20th century. She urged companies in the country to adopt a 4-day week in order to stimulate domestic tourism and help the industry recover amidst the pandemic and probably could boost the country's economy. Finland Prime Minister Sanna Marin also said that productivity gain could also facilitate the shortening of an 8-hour work day. Several leaders and trade unions have also supported the 4-day week model. In fact, Germany's biggest trade union, IG Metall, has supported this tremendously, in spite of the fact that Germany, as of today, has the shortest working hours a week of 34.2 hours. They are doing this to prevent mass layoffs and salary cuts. Some companies like Perpetual Guardian of New Zealand have already implemented it, and they are already taking benefit of the 4-day week model. Several companies in UK are proposing to do, and many of them are already doing it and taking the benefit of the 4-day week model. Recently, a consumer foods giant Unilever have also introduced the 4-day week model in their factories in New Zealand, and they are going to do it for a trial period of 1 year from December for the next 1 year. They wanted to see the benefit of it and study how this model works and what is the benefit and what are the gains they are going to get out of it. And if they are successful and the productivity and employee satisfaction is there, they would like to implement the same model for their 155,000 workforce world over. The 4-day week model not only helps in employee satisfaction, employee commitment, but also reduces the stress levels. It may also sound compelling to persons who are in the age group of 50 to 60 years because they would like to spend more time with their grandparents. They would love to take them to hospital for some need, or for that matter, they would like to pursue some of their passions and also spend time with their grandchildren. So additional 1 day would be beneficial for people who are in those age brackets. Now, if we want to see the advantages, it is increased productivity, improved efficiency, equal workplace, better employee engagement and work-life balance, customer satisfaction, and lower overheads. But critics feels that it can work well for one company and not so for another. Such a policy is not one shoe fits all scenario and a wrong approach, as it likely has industry limitations. Critics of the 4-day week also say that it only applies to white-collar office jobs that are stuck in an outdated 9 to 5, Monday through Friday mindset. But what about retail workers or manufacturing jobs, where these industries need people on the floor 5 or even 6 days a week? So as a closing thought, I can only say that since the pandemic began, the shorter work hour period has become even more important than ever before. While we are not at this point of time, but technology, particularly artificial intelligence, may someday exceed human capabilities. But at that time, we will have to come out with some solutions to protect employees and also promote their well-being and take care of them by providing meaningful careers and work-life balance. Creating work environment where employees are healthy, faithful, dedicated, and productive may be the ultimate call of the corporate hour. Any strategy or any plan of action which aims in achieving this goal will be looked at with great significance and is going to attract great attention in the future. Life is beautiful when everything is in balance. Hope the information has been useful. Thank you for watching this video.